doesn't look very nice outside.
And well, but it's nice inside.
Yes, it
Welcome
is.
everyone. We were still having like a little conversation looking. We're in front of a window and watching. It's a cloudy day today in Portland, but we are in Portland. We are here in Portland, Oregon in PNSQC 2023. And as I told you, I keep bringing friends, speakers, gurus, and masters of the QA universe. And right now I have one of them, which this is like a long overdue opportunity because I walk into this gentleman in almost every conference.
Yeah, it does seem that way, doesn't it? We just saw
Yeah.
each other a few days ago at Star West. Yeah.
And a few months earlier in Agile and DevOps, I think
Yep.
we were walking around. And yeah, he's another road warrior that is often at conferences, presenting, talking, and having fun. Bob Cruz, Bob,
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it. Always great running into you, Leandro.
Or I run into you because often I walk through with the camera and say, Bob, hi.
That's right. That's right. And the PNS, this is my first time at PNSQC. You've been here before, though, right?
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, so this is my first time here, and they actually invited me to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I did a 2-hour workshop this morning on risk analysis utilizing an agile approach.
We'll get into that in a moment because
Yeah.
I want all the details for the people that hopefully will have a chance to get into your tutorials and workshops
Sure.
in the future. But first of everything, for the people that do not know you, mind giving an introduction of what do you do, what have you been doing,
Sure.
why Bob Cruz is here.
Absolutely. So I am CEO and co-founder of Checkpoint Technologies. We specialize, like a lot of companies here, in quality assurance and software testing.
Mm-hmm.
But our primary focus is on the services and education side and assessments. Now, we've partnered with organizations like Inflectra, Critical Logic, Micro Focus, now OpenText, Tricentis, and Cobaton. But our primary focus is ensuring organizations know how to test.
Mm-hmm.
Because, a lot of times for any of you that have ever bumped into me, I'll use the old adage, you can give the worst carpenter in the world the greatest hammer, they're still going to be the worst carpenter in the world. So in addition to knowing how to use a lot of these great solutions out there, whether it's for functional test automation, performance, test planning, risk analysis, you've got to know how to test. That's critical. So that's why we're here. And the other thing is I'm very much a practitioner. I love learning, and I learn from people like you, Mark Tomlins, so many. So anyway, that's why I'm here, and that's why we keep running into each other.
Yeah. It's a great experience, and I love how you said like giving the QA knowledge to organizations because sometimes they need it, need the knowledge, and you may be saying like, wait, what? Isn't it just about automating?
No.
I wanted to bring that reaction.
Yes, no. It's it's so funny because you can, so many organizations will grab somebody and teach them a solution on how to automate, whether it's functional automation or performance, and they'll think that will make them a great tester. But that's further from the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I like to find manual software testers that have the right aptitude and desire to learn automation and teach them how to automate. There are a lot of times I'll go in and I'll work with automation engineers and teach them how to test. I mean, there are a lot of different factors that you truly need to consider. And sometimes, I don't know if you've noticed this, but a lot of times organizations will adopt test automation. They have to because of DevOps and everything else.
Yeah.
But then they just want to automate everything, even that which should not be automated.
Just because.
Maybe do some one-offs. That's right, just because.
And they get this impression that on one hand, everything will be fixed through automation.
Yes.
This immortal automation you created and you have it for the rest of the days. And as well, like that they have to automate everything regardless of, as you very well mentioned. And this is like a cornerstone in both ways services, because I used to be a consultant. I used to provide these services, and you're being called to automate a boatload of stuff.
Yes.
And at times it's like, no, I don't think you need that much or that you need that many. It's not only about providing the automation services, but learning what to, how much to, and where to automate.
Correct.
Those,
Correct.
those are key components, right?
Absolutely. In ensuring that you're able to identify those tests that should be automated and those tests that should remain manual.
Oh, yeah.
That's that's one of the keys, and that's something organizations seem to miss. And that sounds like a simple consideration, but organizations struggle with that.
Sounds like common sense, but sometimes it's not that evident to many.
Correct. And I think that right now there are so many other considerations and sometimes a distraction. Everyone's very focused, as they should be, but they're very focused on AI.
Oh, wow, that's a new way.
And then everyone's asking themselves, well, how do we correctly test our own AI applications, and how can we best use AI to help us test? So there are different considerations. And then you'll see some organizations that they're doing the same thing with AI that we see them do with functional test automation, and they'll say, oh, that's going to be our cure-all, end-all. We'll be able to do everything with AI. And that's not true. It can help you, but I don't think you should look at giving it control and trying to make it do 100% of everything. Not yet. Not yet.
I think and I generally give this analogy that when we want to get fit, many of us think like, oh, it's going to the gym or doing yoga or CrossFit and not shut up about it. And at times, some others are like, yeah, isn't it just like I have to eat these protein powders and then I'm fit? No, there are so many other things that you have to do around to be a holistic QA automation. AI is not going to be this magic protein powder that is going to make you fit suddenly
right.
and magically, right?
That's right.
And it won't get rid of testers. Again, people, your jobs are safe. You just got to learn to deal with this AI thing. You brought a very good one, how to test it,
Yeah.
what to test on it. And it's a weird monster because it's not the usual assertion that we were used to, always input A gives you B.
Right.
And I mean, we have been like delving in all these routes that QA can go, but I am curious, and I'm gonna sidetrack a little bit, big time,
Okay.
because I'm curious as well. Every person that comes here, I'm always curious of their beginnings. How did you got into QA,
Sure.
and what do you think, similar to your trajectory? How can you recommend people on their beginning days to kind of in route or get into this QA universe that we are so used to?
That's a great question. That's a great question. And one of the things that I find is I recommend advise people to get into it differently than how I did. And that's because of the solutions and the avenues that we have available to it, such as social media.
Wait, how did you do it? How was your
So the way I
beginning?
did it, so keep in mind, I'm an old guy.
Yeah.
I've been in IT now for almost 36 years.
Okay.
And I started off as a COBOL developer. At a
Wow.
certain point in my life, I said, okay, I was actually in retail management, which I loved. And I said, this isn't doing it. I felt I had a strong passion for technology at that point in time. So I'm talking about the early 80s.
Yeah.
So I finished getting my college degree. And at the same time that I was doing that, I also went back into the Air Force National Guard, where I got some additional computer training. And then once I finished with the National Guard training, I was able to get a great job at Addison Wesley, a publishing company up in the Massachusetts area. So that kicked off my IT career as a COBOL developer. Well, then I developed some expertise with a computer-aided software engineer, a case tool, and got into the consulting world, stayed in development for about a little over 10 years. And then I was on an FBI project for Harris.
Cool.
And now we were all waterfall, right? I mean, so many organizations were. So as a contractor and consultant, as the development started decreasing, ramping
Being
down, you
completed.
might say, yeah, they asked me to pop on over to QA and software testing. So I got into that, developed a love for functional test automation.
Huh.
And then I finished up that project. I became a managing partner with a company that focused on functional test automation. And then in 2003, co-founded Checkpoint Technologies. And we're focused on 90% quality assurance and software testing, and contracting, contractors, contract to hire, as well as education. And we recently became authorized, certified to provide training for the ISTQB, ASTQB foundational course. But that's how I got into it. And I'm still a practitioner, even though CEO of the company. I love
I think
doing
we will always
assessments.
be.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Because, you know, people like the two of us, we love this, and we're just seeing some exciting things. But now to get into it, what I would say, get educated, find some experts like yourself. James Pulley is another one. You've got Jonathan Wright, who's here. We've got, go to conferences, find some experts that you can follow, listen to what they have to say, learn as much as you can, use social media, and then contribute on social media. And not just with questions, because I told somebody in my class today, I don't care if you've had 1 day of experience as a software tester, you have something to contribute.
Yeah.
So share an idea, ask a question, whatever it might be. So I think that's the way to get into it now.
It's very cool that you showed the perspective from 30, almost 40 years ago, where you were doing your first steps and moving. Sounds a little bit like my experience. I mean, wasn't COBOL, was ASP 3.0 when I started like these first ASP flavors. And then it's like, yeah, you're a developer. Why don't you help us testing this? Or why don't you check on this? And like, oh, I think I'm a tester now. And suddenly it happens, right? It's so funny because almost everyone that I ask in the QA area, they end up in QA by accident or like deviating from some other area, which as well for modern times, recent days, I think you bring it up very well with all the online capabilities for learning
Yes.
that people I would say there's no excuse nowadays for learning a new skill, a new practice, getting into QA, because I would say we are almost saturated with information how to do. I think the challenge nowadays is to find where are the good ones, the good materials, and that will help us the best.
Yes. And I think one of the great things to do there is ask a lot of different people what hey, what would you recommend? Any good
Oh, yeah.
books? Are there any industry experts out there that you would recommend we follow? So don't ask just one or two people, ask several, and then do something as simple as a Google search once in a while. Listen to a few YouTube videos and find out who you like or who you're not so keen on.
Yeah, because as well at times I liked the other element that you mentioned, like don't keep it for yourself. You may have been in the QA area for hours, days, months, who cares? But your perspective is rich for everybody else, even veterans. I'm sure that if you are starting, or even like to give an example, children that may make a question and like, hey, why do you test this way? And you're like, oh. And we all learn. And the point is that we keep sharing some of that knowledge. As you very well said, come to conferences, come to these places where you can meet. Bob keeps pointing at me, but he as well is like a fountain of knowledge and experience. And especially one side is like the experience that you have out of there, that you cannot find that many people that tell you, hey, COBOL, it was like this, you tested this way, you did these types, and this is why, as an example, banks keep having it in the back end, and this is why it is important. I am a little bit worried that some of those information bits maybe lost to new generations.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know if there's a TikTok channel about COBOL. I'm almost sure there's none, but some of that information is super critical so that people come and find out, and not only for growth and knowledge, but also to find a career. I think here conferences, I know that recruitment happens here, that that's huge opportunities, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think almost all organizations, they might not be hiring at the time, but they're always interested in meeting people who are passionate about their chosen career field, software testing and QA, that they're knowledgeable, that they're eager to learn, things along that line. So we're always looking for good talent. And even if we don't have a position now, it's make that contact and stay in touch, remain in touch with that contact. That's key.
Some of
Absolutely.
those, like, hey, I saw you in PNSQC 1 year later, and on one hand might be asking like, hey, do you still have something QA? I have these specialties, or vice versa. You may think, this guy that came to the booth and was talking to us, I remember resume or find it on LinkedIn. Establishing those connections on conferences for networking, you wouldn't believe how powerful it is, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Especially, I think even like between us, I mean, we had some interactions online, some webinars here and there,
Right.
but being in person, I don't think I would have never met Bob or vice versa if we weren't coming to these events.
Absolutely. It's great during the pandemic that technology enabled us to offer webinars, seminars, the conferences virtually. But now, as things are getting back to normal, more and more so every single month, I find it so beneficial when it's in person and we can interact, and it's easier to associate a face to the voice.
It's it's a big advantage. Not only so we have gone learning, networking, job,
Mm-hmm.
personal growth, friendships, because I've come out with very good friendships out of these events and
Yes,
situations. But as well in the area of knowledge, you have so many talks, so many from traditional best practices talks that you will get some very good knowledge from groundbreaking new AI techniques on how to adopt. My personal experience, I didn't know how to tackle this agile thing and match it with QA coming from the waterfall days, as you very well mentioned,
Right. Yeah.
and was mind blowing for me. And speaking of these thoughts and learnings and mind blowing, how was was it like a mini workshop or how?
So it was a mini workshop, approximately 2 hours long,
Mhm.
and it was all about implementing risk analysis utilizing an agile approach.
So how mind spoiler alert, spoiling it out.
No, not at all. And if anyone has any questions or want to hear further about it, just please reach out
master?
and contact me. All right. But it's all about, if any of you have ever heard of the theory about the wisdom of the crowd, and that if you were to ask 1,000 people a question in which they have very little or any expertise, ask 1,000 of them, the majority of them will get it right. Now, again, it's a question that they're all answering, so it's not a contest to listen to the loudest. But that's how it is with risk analysis utilizing an agile approach. You're almost using a scoring approach, and you're asking everyone, okay, rate for this feature, this requirement, or this use case. How many of you would say the impact is high, medium, or low? And then you might ask them to say, okay, on the count of three, share your scoring card, 1, 2, 3. And it's amazing how the vast majority will come up with the same score. And then if you have any outliers, you ask them, okay, everyone else gave that a high. You gave it a low. You were the only one. Is there something that we don't, or, and you discuss it. So ideal for any kind of a sprint, a stand-up, anything like that in an agile approach. And it's a way that organizations can implement risk-based testing.
Mm-hmm.
And the advantage to that is you're able to test and find your scariest defects, let the developers know, gives them a little bit more time to work with it and work on it, resolve the issue. And then also you can look at and determine which of your testers you want to work on that issue. If it's a high impact, high likelihood, then you may want to have your best testers, the most senior testers, working on that.
Interesting. As you describe it, sounds to me like the approach is having multiple eyes and perspectives on a
Yes.
situation. Because um, my thing today was cognitive biases and herd mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder why everyone brings up the issue at the same time, like not letting others know before it's popped.
Exactly. That's why, so that you're not influenced by anybody else's score. You score it based on what you know. And if the team you're doing this with, if they don't have any subject matter expertise, then for these types of risk scoring sessions, you invite stakeholders, business analysts, end users, things along that line, who will add to the knowledge of your group.
It's because even if you bring a fresh perspective or a different perspective, and you see everybody else voting against, that's like we are um, groups. Our species is made out to be acting in groups, and if we don't want to be the weird bug in the room.
Most of us don't. Right.
Well,
Right.
some enjoy it. Yeah. I have to say, there are
Some
peculiar
enjoy it.
situations. I've been there, but I think we all have
Yeah,
been.
we all have been. Yeah.
But at the same time, if everyone and I am the only one like acting different and bringing a different, would be like, oh, and I have been there in sprint planning. So you bring your perspective, and you're the only one. You almost want to bring it down and just change it and tune it to be like everybody else around.
Yep.
So we have a panel soon, so we'd better get ready. 3:30?
What's that?
3:30, right?
3:30?
The panel? Oh, I hope we are not late for the panel, because I saw it was 3:30 or
And you're emceeing that, aren't you?
3:30. So we're still safe. Okay. I got worried, because it happens here and there that I will lose track of time, or I'm also in a different time zone that I'm used to, so sometimes
yeah.
I get late or super early.
Well, that makes two of them. I'm all the way out from Florida, so.
Oh yeah, 4 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours. So yeah, it's 6:10 my time,
Oh,
and it's 3:10 here in
It's-
Portland, Oregon.
yeah. Sorry, everyone. We got like derailed from the train of thought that we were having. But this is an example of one of the live things that are happening here in conferences, and at the same time of the learnings that you can get out of these workshops, events, and that if you come, I'm sure that this workshop you presented elsewhere, you have like a similar.
Yes. So I've provided this workshop as a 4-hour workshop.
Oh.
So then we're able to get into just different quality factors that will influence risk. We talk about risk terminology in great detail, and we do a lot of exercises. And I share with them, we do the exercises so that they can actually practice the agile approach to risk analysis on the different assets, whether it's a test case, a requirement, use case, or user story. Yeah.
And yeah, because you mentioned as well this different perspective and decision taking based on these risk levels.
Mm-hmm.
I loved what you pointed out. Like you have a higher risk or an element that requires is more, let's say, business critical, impactful.
Exactly.
You put the SWAT team there, not nothing against interns, but you
That's right.
wouldn't.
Well, you can get, and that gives you an opportunity to identify those features or requirements that are low impact, low likelihood. Give that to the new software testing engineers, and it lets them hone their skill with not as much risk to the business.
And to identify this, aside, of course, taking his workshop, if you ever, we're going to get into that. Where can people get to your workshops. But what other learning bits would you recommend to people to kind of get to these outcomes that you were teaching?
So so as far as other courses,
No,
that I
no,
might recommend,
for
or
in the same line
so
to
the risk.
identify other risk assessments and
So the other thing that I would recommend you do is know the business, because in software engineering, we want to. I mean, we all should be making an effort to bridge the gap between the business and technology.
mm,
And we also all know, and I'm sure you've seen this, many of you have seen this,
experienced
where
it.
as testers, we've finished a project, we've delivered on time, we've tested all of the requirements, use cases, user stories, and they all passed. It gets delivered over to user acceptance testing or right into prod, and very quickly the end users say,
Something happens.
this isn't what we wanted. This isn't what we wanted. And that's very common, because there's what we, the software testers, are given to verify and validate, and there's what the end users want. And so often there's that gap. So I often share a saying that a college professor of mine in New Hampshire said, don't give your customers what they want, give them what they need.
Yeah.
And so what we should be doing, and what we should make sure that the product owners understand, or business analysts, whoever role it might be, bridge that gap, help them identify what they need and turn it into, oh yeah, what you need is what you want.
Because many times they don't even know what they need.
That's right.
They may think that, as I was joking earlier, that yeah, we get everything through automation and that's gonna be our silver bullet. And no, you may need these, you may need that, processes here, perspectives, and I love that you keep teaching this through these courses. And now to ramp down a little bit, because we were already pinged for
Yeah.
the panel. For people that want to learn more, find about your workshops, the trainings that you provide, where can people get in touch with you and find more about these trainings and workshops?
So I'm on LinkedIn, and it's Bob Crews, Crews. Please connect with me. You can email me at bcrews@checkpointtech with one T
Okay.
.com, checkpointtech.com, or go to our website, checkpointtech.com.
One T.
Yes, one T, checkpointech.com.
Stay
All
tuned,
right.
and
Yes.
you have a catalog of resources, courses, and everything.
Absolutely. And we're always refining that. So reach me. And the other thing we do that's important is we tailor it. We can tailor the training that you need. And if you call up and you say, here's how many days our team can be out for training, here's what we want to cover, here's what we need, here's our budget, we'll work something out.
Awesome. So everyone, if you're on an organization, corporate level, and you need some training for your teams, and even as a personal level, do you have anything like one-on-one or people sources, YouTube, or anything that
So, well, one of the things I have, because I do a lot of volunteer work also.
like here?
Well, no, I do I'm a corporate mentor for one of the universities out in Florida. I also volunteer with something totally unrelated, where I teach English as a second language, and I teach a citizenship course.
Cool.
But on the business side, there are a lot of individuals looking to get into it. Call me, keep in touch. We'll develop that rapport, and I'm never opposed to giving anyone some mentoring, some guidance, anytime. So that's something else that I do a lot of that.
And that's your bread and dough, that helping, guiding, counseling organizations, people. So
Well, we've got to give back, right? You and I mean, we've been so fortunate, so we want to give back.
yeah, definitely. And we're about to go and give it back more there at the panel.
Yes.
So, amigo Bob, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
It's
Always
been
a good
pleasure.
time.
Yeah. And everyone watching, this is still PNSQC 2023, day one from Portland, Oregon. But for the day, I think that we are going to call it, because after the panel comes the last keynote, and we're off to a party, right?
Yes, yes.
We're
that's
gonna
right.
have an event after hours today. Let's see. I don't think I can stream anything from there, but we will be back tomorrow with more interviews, with more fun, more of these gurus and wizards of the QA world.
Yes.
Most of the experience, you cannot miss it.
Thank you so much again. Really appreciate it. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. And we are calling it a day for today. So, Leandro out, Bob out. Adios. Take care.
Bye.